Okay.
Okay, are we ready? Okay, welcome to tonight's call on this beautiful Thursday. I feel like I'm repeating myself. I love these calls so much because they're so connecting. And as you guys can see, there's a new face on our call tonight, which I'm really excited to hear from her. I actually don't know her that well, but Nicole says that should we remind each other, or should we remind Nicole, oh my gosh, I can't even think. We are a lot alike, Shenel. We're both nurses and we're both fun. Can I say that? Perfect. But I'm really excited to hear from her. And first, before we hear from her, I want to do some shout outs. So if you have any shout outs that you want to do, this is the time to do it. Don't be shy.
I want to give a shout out.
Go, Teresa.
No, go. I want to give a shout out to Carly and Jess and Nicole for, I don't know, just inspiring me and always being willing to get on the phone real quick. And I mean, you guys are just such amazing leaders, and I just really appreciate you guys. So thanks.
That was so sweet, Teresa. Thank you. That's very sweet of you. I was going to shout you out because I love how Teresa has some major goals and she's been consistently posting and consistently getting enrollments because of those consistent posts. And she's not afraid to reach out to people of like her home country and do those kinds of things. And it's just really, really cool to see the fruits of her labor right now this month, especially. So I'm super happy for you. Love your goals, Teresa, and you're working hard.
I'm loving these shout outs. I'm going to go next really quick. I want to shout out Rachel and her husband for being here. We met them on Monday night, and I'm so glad that they're here. And I also want to shout out Nicole, my beautiful sponsor, because she's doing a really scary thing this month, and she's doing it with just such grace and love. And she has the right reason behind her heart, and that is to help others. So you guys all know she's going for Emerald, and I know she's going to do it, and she's going to do it when we're in Bear Lake, when we can all plunge into the cold lake together.
You guys, I will jump in that lake freaking buck naked.
Okay, Rachel's husband's on this call. He might not let her go if you say that.
If I rank there, I'm skinny dipping, and you guys are all doing it with me.
Love you, babe.
Thank you. Love you too.
Anybody else? Okay.
Well, let me just shout out Jess real quick, because you guys, ever since I was senior gold, Jess came in here and she just ran with all my crazy ideas. She's always built me up and believed in me. And if I'm running, she's like, I'm running with you. And I can't even say what that means to me, to have somebody that has just linked arms with me and believed in me and loved me. And she sees like all of the bad sides of me and still loves me. And that means the world to me. So I love you, and I really appreciate you doing this with me, because I know that the last couple years have not been easy for Jess. And I just like, I would say the number one excuse I hear from people not wanting to do the business is that they don't have time. And Jessica, literally, like, you guys, she works her butt off as a full-time nurse. Like, she has all the excuses in the world. She doesn't need the money, she doesn't need the time, and she still shows up because she cares about people and she believes in what we do. And that's really amazing to have a leader like that on your team. And you guys are all amazing leaders, and I love you all. But I just have to shout her out because she's been there with me from like the very beginning. She was one of my very first enrollments, and she told me no to doing the business so many times. You guys, don't ever give up on people. But I just have to shout her out because she is an incredible leader, and I love doing this with you, Jess.
Thanks, Nicole. I appreciate that. I'm still telling her no. What did you get me into? But I love it so much, and I'm so grateful for all of you on this call. Okay, without further ado, Shenel, are you ready? You guys, I'm so excited to introduce you to, I know Nicole knows her a little bit better than I do, but she just ranked Senior Ruby, was it last month?
Yeah.
And she did it with such grace and with a lot of determination. She's a powerhouse, you guys. And I wanted her to take this time to share what she's doing and what's working for her and how she's leading her team. And I cannot wait to hear from her. So take it away, babe.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. Just so the rest of you kind of have a little bit of a background. And it totally makes sense now why Nicole thinks that Jess and I are similar. I am also a full-time nurse. I actually work from home these days. I have a 4-year-old. I'm a single parent, so I run my Plexus business. I'm a single mom, and I have a full-time nursing job. So I don't have a whole lot of time for anything else. That's okay though. I don't do Plexus for the money. I have a salary career that has done me very well. I honestly do it because I get more joy and fulfillment helping people, leading them to Plexus, than I do in my actual nursing career. And I'm sure if any of you are nurses or healthcare, and Jess knows this, we push a lot of pills in our careers, and I got tired of that. And I love being able to give people an alternative, which is root healing. Like that for me is everything. So I started the products back May of last year, and I started sharing in August. And when I started sharing, it just spread like wildfire for me. So, a lot of people come into this business and are like, oh, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. I literally tried everything in the beginning. I was like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And I will tell you that everything worked. And what I mean by that is word of mouth got me to Senior Gold. That was sharing with people that I'm passionate about, my friends, my family, my coworkers, people that I had an opportunity to be face to face to them and tell them my story. My story was very powerful. And that led me into that portion. And then once I got there, I was like, oh my gosh, there's got to be another way. And so I took all the advice that I had of everybody in my upline. You guys, your leaders are your people. Listen to them. They have people that help them to get where they've been or to get where they are, and they are full of ideas. So I started cold messaging, which really honestly isn't cold messaging because it's all people that I've been friends with at some point in my life, but I made a list. Making lists is huge. Make a list of the top 20 people, the top 50 people that you want to reach out to, and do it with intention. You don't have to send a copy and paste message. You can actually send a voice message. Hey, I've been thinking about you. Anything that is real, because that's what sells Plexus. It's real. We really, truly want to make people feel better. So do it with intention and do it with heart. So getting to a certain point, I realized, oh my gosh, like I really need to have a team because I can't do this by myself, and I don't want to do this by myself. I want to teach other people how to do this. So developing silvers. I'm sure everybody's like, how do I do that? Because that's like the key. Or even if it's developing yourself into a silver or a senior silver or whatever that looks like. So for me, what I learned from the very get-go was I couldn't do it alone. So when I found someone, I will back up. I did not have the luxury of having a sponsor who knew what they were doing. My best friend and I started this together, and it was like the blind leading the blind. And so we didn't really have a whole lot. And who was above her was, taking the opportunity to teach her, but I wasn't getting the same information at the rate that I needed it to be able to keep up with as many enrollments as I had originally. So it's great if you can get people to share from day one. That's fantastic. What I have personally found is that my people have had more luck when they've shared when they had a story to tell. There are some people that have a story to tell a week in. I check in with people every single week. The first opportunity I get, the first time someone says to me, I love my pink drink. I had so much energy today. Or I love my pink drink. I pooped today. Whatever that is, I say, oh my gosh, that's incredible. Would you want to post about this? I will write a post for you. You tell me what you love about Plexus so far, and we will put a post up there for you. You never know who might really be needing this and is silently suffering, and they don't want to reach out because they're embarrassed or they're scared or whatever it is. You never know. And so I tell people that every time. And I reach out to I have at this point reached out to nearly every single person that I've signed up, and I have about 70 level ones. I've reached out to every single one of them and said, hey, you love your products. Like, I know you do. How about we get them paid for? Why wouldn't you want to help 3 people? Why are you being stingy with your health results? Why wouldn't you want someone else to feel what you feel? And so that for me has been the biggest thing, is really putting myself out there and saying, hey, you love your stuff. You've told me you love your stuff. Why not share that with somebody else, whether it be in a post, whether it be, reaching out to 10, 15 of your close friends and saying, hey, I know you really suffer with migraines. I know you really suffer with depression. I know you have a bad thyroid. I know that you have whatever it is. Like, it's okay to be vulnerable with people. It's okay to be told no. It's okay to send a message and someone tell you, oh, no, thank you, I'm not interested. I have a list and like an accumulation of like screenshots of all the weird things that people have told me. And I love to look at them and I just laugh and I'm like, oh gosh, like, and it's so funny because over time, some of those people have come back and been like, you know what, I've been watching your journey. I think I do want to try this plexus thing. So that's the last thing that I tell people. Post something, whether it's a graphic about plexus or a story about plexus or your pink drink and you or anything that you can just make sure people know that you haven't stopped. Make sure people know that you haven't quit. Make sure people know that you are intentional about what you're doing for your health and for your business. Because if you start to get slow or if you start to back away, people start to question, especially those that are really watching closely. They're like, I wonder if they're still doing that. Maybe they don't like it as much anymore. So really being intentional with your posting, being intentional with your messages, and being intentional when you actually talk to somebody face to face, and reaching out to your level ones and assisting them in the process. Do you want to post? Do you want to, can I get on a Zoom call with you and your friend or your mom or, your coworker or whoever that is? Stick them in a 3-way message with me. I've just started like hand feeding them, verbiage, if you will, and how to get those messages going and how to get those conversations started and ways that I can help them be able to facilitate that process. I had no idea what I was doing when I got into this. Everything that I've learned, like I said, I learned from people above me. So taking all the tips and tricks that you can get from your upline is definitely going to help you propel you into that next rank or helping more people or whatever it is your goal is. So, any questions?
You are amazing.
Thanks.
I wanted to just have you touch on you sweeping the sprint, what's it called?
The success sprint?
Yes. Because have you mostly done that with level ones or have you done it with silvers?
I developed 4 fast start silvers last month, a fast start silver, and she went senior silver as a level 2. And I developed the level 2 fast start. So I had 5 fast start silvers, 5 and 1 fast start senior silver last. 2 of them were level 2s, but their sponsor's not active. So I did all the work. So,
and where did your points go in 1 month? Do you know where they ended in January? Like how much did they bump up in 1 month from that? Do you know?
Oh my gosh, no.
Probably quite a bit.
I tried to like not get caught up in it, but I swept the contest sometime early this week. And so the majority of that, I had one gal on my team who, you guys, I have a gal on my team who started on my team in August with me, and it was like pulling hair a lot of the times. And I was like, I just know she has so much potential. And she was struggling and struggling and struggling. She signed up 14 level ones on her own last month and grew her team by 25 people. I was blown away at her progress. I mean, she just had a huge month. And that took me just we talk all day on the phone. We text, in our free time. She works, I work, we talk, she sends me screenshots. I walk her through it. I help her through the process. And now she's able to grow her own team. So a lot of that success sprint I feel like it came from the work that I was like, needing months and months ago. It finally came into fruition, and it paid off me putting that time into her.
Does
Right.
anybody feel that way when she talks about someone? I'm sure you can all think of someone that has the potential and you want to rip your hair out. She's saying that. And what I love what you said is intentional. That's like what my focus is on tonight's call, is like being intentional, because we care, and not just a copy and paste or another number. And that's how I am in the nursing world. I don't see my patients as a hospital room number. I see them as their name. And when I was working in the hospital, I work from home now, but when I was working in the hospital, it was my intention to say their name 3 times every time I was in their room. Even if I was in their room for 2 minutes, I'd be like, Shenel, how is your pain? Shenel, talk to me. Like, I think it's really important to be intentional. And that's what I relate to so much. And you're just incredible. You inspire all of us.
Thanks.
And I appreciate everything you said. I know that Lauren asked if you were in Boise.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I didn't know that either. I knew you were from Idaho, but I didn't know what part.
I'm actually from Texas, but I've been in Idaho for almost 15 years now. So Boise is home. So
It's home for you. That's so cool. Lauren's from Idaho too.
Oh, nice. Cool.
So,
yay.
And she's in nursing school.
What? Yes. I'm like, you know what? I have a lot of nurses on my team. Strange enough, I don't have any nurses sharing yet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't understand.
You'll get
why.
there.
Like,
It'll come. It'll come. Okay, does anybody else have questions for her? Don't be shy.
I just want you to share what your number one tip is for developing leaders, because I think I kind of pinpointed it from what you said, but I feel like it's just that you just keep going back and keep asking them to share and keep, kind of hand holding in the beginning. But what do you think is the number one thing that's helped you develop 5 silvers in a month? Like, what's the number one thing that you feel like helped you do that?
Relationship building, especially for the people that maybe I hadn't talked to in a while, or whatever that looked like. As soon as I was given the opportunity to get them to post, and then to borrow their friends, if you will, and start building relationships with, people that would potentially sign up to be, help them be a silver. That has, you have to keep going back. Like, I can't tell you how many times I had to ask these people, like, hey, would you post? Okay, great. Would you post? Hey, were you going to post? I missed it. Did you post? Are we going to post together? Do you want to do it right now? I mean, what do I need to do? Like, short of pushing the send button or post button, like, what can I do for you? And so just truly being intentional with the way that I talk to them. And I never want them to look at me like I'm a boss or I'm their superior or anything like that. Like, these are people that I look to as colleagues and as friends and as equals. And I never want to feel like I'm pushing any sort of boundary. And I also know my boundaries. When someone says no to me, I understand personalities and when to let go of things. I think that's also very important. I learned from a very close friend of mine who works in a completely different business that you run with your runners, you can walk with your walkers, but don't ever sit with the sitters, because they're not going to get up. So take advantage of the people who want it, and do anything and everything that they will allow you to do with them and for them, and just run as fast as you can with them, because that's going to pay off. So
Awesome. Thank you so much. Everything you said just hit my heart. And I love what you just said. Don't ever sit with the sitters. I love that.
yeah.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, you'll want to, right? Because especially as nurses, we have that like codependency trait in us where we want to help everybody. And there are just some people you just have to let go sometimes. And you never know, they might come back around. They love their products, they stay on their products, and maybe they'll come back. But you got to take your energy and put it into the people who want it.
Right. And then run with them. because that's where the energy should be spent. But
Yep.
still, like, watch the sitters.
Exactly. Don't
You
forget
know?
about them. They're
Yeah,
still there.
they're still in your funnel, and you know that
Exactly.
they'll come around, because there are people that order, you guys that have been watching me for 2 years. I got a level 1 today. She's never talked to me about Plexus until like 4 months ago. And then she's like, you know what? I went with a different company. And then today she texted me. She's like, hey, I'm ready. Let's order. So I just want you to know, like, she was sitting and I didn't sit with her, but I still loved her where she was at. And then here we are starting her journey, and she got her husband already on the products as well.
People
So
are always watching. They're always watching.
they sit and they watch.
Yes, it's surprising because there's been a lot of people that have approached me that I was like, that came out of nowhere. I didn't know they were watching. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Nicole, did you want to say anything? And Shenel, I know you are busy, so you don't have to stay on our team call, but I don't know if Nicole wanted to add anything before you leave.
I got a little one to get to bed.
Yes,
So
I figured.
yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Best of luck to all of you.
Just love you so much. Thank you so
All right,
much.
love you
We
guys.
really appreciate you getting on. Thank you.
No problem. See ya.
You guys, I just love her. I met her at the Nordstrom shopping spree. I didn't get to spend a lot of time with her because she's a sideline and you kind of got spread out, but I just adore her so much. And I'm so grateful for the time that she spent with us. Okay, we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to be talking about turning stones tonight. But first, I've kind of added something to the team call, and Nicole knew this like 10 minutes ago. But I want to talk about time, because I think sometimes time can be super overwhelming for all of us. Like, I want you all to look at the screens in front of you. And in fact, Melissa posted a post about this, about how we all wear different roles in our life. We all wear a different hat, right? Like, you can just keep stacking the hats. Like, we're a mom, a wife, a caregiver. We go shopping, we go to the soccer games, we work 2 jobs, we're a pet giver. Like, we have so many roles, and sometimes it can get overwhelming because we don't have the time, right? Everybody has the same amount of time. We all have 24 hours a day. And I actually found a quote that I loved. I'm all about quotes. It says, everybody has the same amount of time during the day. You can either spend your time or you invest your time. Do you guys know what the difference is? Like, spending your time versus investing your time? Because I had to look it up. Like, the definitions of like spending time versus investing time. And it actually relates to our health a lot. Spending time on your health versus investing in your health. And that was me for several years. I was spending all the money. Guys, I spent $10,000 in 2018. $10,000. You know what I could have done with that? I could have put that into my kids' college funds. I could have done charities. I told Tiffany today, do you know what my number one goal is when I become an Emerald? Is I want to walk into Primary Children's Hospital and I want to walk up and say, will you tell me who really needs to have their bill paid off? I want to do it right now. Like, I want to be a difference. I have a purpose, and that becomes part of my time. I want to invest my time. So, like, by raise of hands, who feels overwhelmed that they do not have enough time to do Plexus? Like, every day. You guys, I work 80-hour work periods, pay periods. I work 40 hours a week. I do 7 on, 7 off. I work a 16-hour shift on Saturday and Sundays. My husband's also a nurse, and so our schedules are back to back, and then he's also in NP school. So I feel like our time is very limited because we are either on our way to work or on our way home, or we are tossing my 3 children who are supposed to be asleep, but I can hear them at the banister spying on me. I don't have time. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. I want to be part of my kids' lives. I want to help them with their homework. It's all about how I'm investing my time. And I want you guys all to think, are you spending your time or are you investing your time? Because we all have 24 hours a day. And like, I look at Nicole, who did lashes a year ago and has quit doing lashes since then. And she was probably working, 30 hours a week on lashes. And even though our time was different spent, we still had the same hours in a day. And I look at Carly, who right now doesn't have to work. She's so blessed not to have to work. And that's so amazing. And it's like, Carly, how are you spending your time versus investing your time? Because there's so many times that I'll be like, I have 10 minutes. And what do I end up doing? I scroll on Instagram and I don't even be intentional. If I'm going to scroll, I better like people's posts or I better engage because that's relationship building. And I've been really intentional that I'm like, okay, I'm going to look at 10 posts. And when I hit my 10th post, I'm done. That's how I've been investing my time on social media is I have to give myself a number because how often do we find ourselves on social media for hours on end? And like, Rachel, I don't know your situation as much, but like, I'm sure, do you feel like you have time to do plexus? Like, I know you're a newlywed, right? You guys haven't been married. When did you guys get married? Oh, I can't hear you.
Sorry, we got married in November.
So you're still newlyweds. Like you guys are still enjoying this newlywed phase. And I'm sure like you want to spend all your time with him, the DeBerries, like, like you guys are, yes, I love it. Like, and I feel like you feel probably that same way. And, you know, a lot of us already have kids and you're probably going to feel that way when you guys start having kids. Like time is all how we invest it, not how we spend it. Does anyone want to add anything to that?
I'll just say, I think that part of investing in your time versus just spending your time is like, there's a lot of things we can do to spend our time, right? Like we can sit down and binge watch Netflix. We can, I don't know, like you name it. Like, what do you waste your time on? Like scrolling Facebook or, I mean, which is funny because we use Facebook a lot as a tool for what we do. But like, there's just a lot of things that you can do that you're just spending your time on, right? And then there's times I think of like things that I invest in my time or things that are going to yield a result down the road. Like if I watch a full season of Netflix, that doesn't give me any result down the road, right? Nothing at all. I'm just spending that time. But if I play a game with my children, they're never going to forget that. That's a memory. That's something that I'm building that relationship for the rest of their life. So that's time well spent, right? Or when I'm investing in somebody's health and working through their detox and helping walk them through the products and really genuinely caring about them, I see that as time well spent because I know that I'm helping people live a happier, healthier, more fulfilled life. So you've got to think of it like that, I think, right? Like, is what I'm putting my time into going to pay off down the road? Like me going to the gym every day, to my sister, she would think that's a waste of time. Like you waste like 6 hours a week at the gym. Like that's such a waste of time to her, right? But to me, that's time well spent because that's investing in my health so that down the road, I can run around with my grandkids and get up and down off the ground and, you know, be healthy and have energy and all those things. So that's kind of how I think of it, Jess, is like, is the time that we're putting in going to yield a result down the road that we want? Or is it just kind of a waste of time where we're just kind of occupying our mind for the moment?
No, and I love that. I think an equivalent part of time is intention. Like when I am spending time with my kids, the time I'm spending with my kids is going to be intentional. So when I'm helping people through detox or their regimens or even at work, that time is intentionally well spent. Like my kids know when I'm working my registered nurse shifts, they know that I'm in my office. My husband's the full-time daddy, nanny. He's the guy that takes care of my kids during those hours. They know not to come bug me. But I intentionally take that time for a 15-minute break to go say goodnight to my kids. I leave my phone at my desk and I intentionally go to my children's rooms and say goodnight to all of them. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard, I know you guys are some of you are new, but I have the 3-3-3s. Does anyone know what that means to you? I am really weird about it. I spend 3 times a day for 3 minutes with all 3 of my kids. So I am never on my phone when I'm dropping them off or picking them up from school. And then each of them get 3 minutes of my times 3 times a day. And they have done studies that show that if you can give that to your child or to your spouse just 3 times a day for 3 minutes, it enhances that time with them, that they are valuable to you. It's intentional time. And so I challenge all of you, if you're not doing that already, to do that with all of your kids because they need that this time and age, especially this last year. Like I said at the event on Monday night, mental illness is really, really, really common right now. And especially in our children, that we're masking them, half their faces are covered. So what are they losing? They're losing emotion. They don't see it in our faces. They don't see it in our mouths. Half of what our expression is in our lips and in our mouth. And it really makes me sad that that's been taken away from them this past year. So I really want you to try that, is put time in with intention. And when you are reaching out to people or your family or your friends or your parents, be intentional. Don't do a copy and paste. If that's not you or doesn't sound like you, don't send a message that is copy and paste. Make that time intentional, because I promise it will make the biggest difference. So I just kind of wanted to go over that because I feel like sometimes Plexus can be overwhelming. I'll be honest, I still get overwhelmed. There are days where I'm like going. And I'm so grateful to the pink drink, because that's what helps me get through the day, is that blood sugar balance, and I can achieve that. But I think sometimes we think about the to-do list that is like a month long. Like, we just moved into our new home. I have a ton of to-do list things that I need to get done. And it's like, it's going to take us 6 months to get it done. And I cannot look at that ahead, like far into the future. I need to look on what 5 tasks can I do tomorrow, Plexus related or not, that is important to me and my family. What needs to be done? What needs to happen? What do I need to cross off? And that's something else I want you guys to do. Don't look at 6 months down the road. Look at what you need to get done tomorrow, what you need to get done this week, and just slowly cross them off, because the laundry is always going to be there the next day. It'll get done, you know? And I think it's by human nature, we get overwhelmed by it. So
Kim always says, Kimberly, she always says, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? And I think of like every time I have like big goals in any aspect of my life, but like, let's just use Plexus as an example. When I have a big goal, you're like trying to eat the elephant all at once, and you get so overwhelmed, right? And it's like, how do you achieve any goal? One step at a time. And a lot of times I think we try to go from like 0 to 60. Say 60 is ranking gold for somebody that has never enrolled anyone before. So you're like, I need to get to gold like right now. How do I do it? I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? And you like totally overwhelm yourself. But if you're like, okay, how do I get to gold? One enrollment at a time. So I'm going to help enroll one person and change their life. And then I'm going to do the next. And like, you just go step by step, because any goal or anything that you're trying to do, like whether it's like just cleaning and organizing your house, you're not superwoman. You cannot do it all at once. And I really think that the key is to write it down. Write down those 5 steps, like Jess said, every single day that you're going to do. And well, let's think about the things that are the best producers for the goals, right? Like posting, connecting with people, messaging people. Like, write down 5 goals that you know are going to help you get the result that you want, right? So that helps me, because I do tend to get really overwhelmed. And I know a lot of people on this team, whether they're on the call or not right now, I know they also feel that way. And I think that overwhelmed feeling comes from trying to do it all at once.
I love that. Thanks, Nicole. I was also going to add too, and I know Rachel, you're still new, and I don't mean to keep putting you on the spot, but when I started sharing Plexus 6 months into my journey, I told Nicole no several times. I didn't need the financial offset. I just didn't need it. My husband and I both worked full time. We both worked 80-hour work pay periods. We were fine financially, but it wasn't financial relief I needed. It was financial freedom. I wanted to start going to my kids' soccer games. I've missed more than I can count. I missed dance recitals. I missed my husband's basketball games. He plays rec ball. And those are the times I was missing. And so it was financial freedom that really opened up my connection to want to help people. And how often do we recommend Target jeans and restaurants to each other? And I just recommended my orthodontist 2 days ago, but my orthodontist didn't pay me for that. But I was like, no, he was amazing. He's great with Avery's teeth. Go there. I think by nature, we get so scared to share something because it's a network marketing company. But now it's completely blessed and changed my life. So I was going to say, when I started sharing, I was like, I'm just going to find that one person. I don't care if anybody else enrolls. I just want that one person to have their lives changed. And I'm looking at Carly and Melissa, who both are my level 1s on this call. That one person, if you times that by 2 people, what does that give you? 2. I always just focus on one person. And then what happens is you start duplicating, because every time you multiply that by that one person, it ends up being multiple people, right? So that's what I like. My goal is intentional time with one person, and it multiplies. It's really a cool like rock. You throw a rock at a pond and it just like bounces and bounces. It's like a ripple effect. So I'm just really excited about tonight's call because we're going to shift gears unless anyone wanted to add anything. I'm going to shift gears. Okay. I wanted to talk about turning stones. Does anyone know what that means? You guys probably have heard that term since you've been sharing plexus. But what, did you want to say something, Rachel? Sorry. Okay. Okay, no, you're good. Sorry. Does anyone know what turning stones mean? Don't be shy.
Keep looking for the gold. Keep
I
digging.
love it. Keep digging. So turning a stone is either someone that's been on the products, that's been in your funnel, that isn't ordering over 100 PV, someone that you've never talked to. Like, you continue to turn the stone with anybody that's ever talked to you about plexus or has been on plexus or wants the results. You have to remember we live in an Amazon world day and age. So what happens is people start the products, they go for 2 weeks and they're like, oh, I had diarrhea for 2 days, so I'm done. Okay, in the nursing world, if I gave an antibiotic to a patient, which I do every day, that patient gets diarrhea for 2 days, guess what happens? They continue the antibiotic because they live in a world that they trust Western medicine only. And I think with turning stones, it involves being consistent and confident in what you're doing. And turning stones mean not to be afraid to reach out to those that have gone through detox, that are not doing well on the regimen, and that want to be a part of this plexus health and happiness program. That is turning stones. You are going back to those prospects. You're going back to your funnel. You're going back to your cold messaging. You're going back to your outreaches and 3 days of plexus and tagging in people. That is turning stones. Nicole, did you want to say something? I saw you kind of.
Yeah, I mean, Christy Jex talks about this a lot, like turn over every stone. Like when you have a goal, instead of getting overwhelmed, you're just doing like what you can do each day, and that's by turning over stones. So, I mean, I think that the biggest thing is not getting discouraged if you turn over a stone. You got to think about people. If you think about people as stones and you flip it over and you might get a no, and then you might get another no, and then you might get a yes, 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 and then you might get like 5 more no's. But you got to just keep turning the stones over, right? Because it's that, like the same thing as we were talking, eating the elephant one bite at a time. It's just you eating one bite at a time when you're turning over stones. I know that a lot of you guys are in my team thread, and you can see that we're doing a countdown this month, right? And I'm at 83. I need 83 more enrollments right now to hit my goal. Okay. I can't do that on my own. Obviously, I can't get 83 on my own. That's a team effort. But what I can do is I can do my part every day of digging in. And if you break down your goals into numbers, you can be like, okay, 83, how many days are left in the month? Divide it by that. And I'm like, I need about 4 a day. I need 4 orders or 4 new enrollments a day, right? And like today we hit 4. And the day before we only hit 2, but the day before that we hit 6. So we're on track, right? And sometimes you don't always hit your goal in the exact order that you want, but if you just keep turning over stones. And one thing that I have found is that when I have a goal, it pushes me out of my comfort zone, and it makes me reach out to people that are like my chicken listers. I get scared to talk to them. Okay. I have a girl on my team, and I don't know why, like she's been ordering for over a year, and I get so scared every time I reach out to her. I don't know why. She's one of those people that intimidates me. I saw earlier that Lauren said it's always the ones that intimidate me, but there's always certain people, right, where we get intimidated by them. And I decided when I was like, okay, I made the goal to go Emerald, I decided that I'm not going to not reach out to somebody ever because of me. Like, I'm going to reach out because of them. And I think that this is a big shift. Like, going for a goal, you have a big shift in your mind that you have to stop making it about you. And I'm like, if I'm not reaching out to somebody because I'm scared, I'm making that about me. And so I reached out to her and just started creating conversation. And I found out like some stuff in her life that's going on that's been really, really hard for her. And I'm like, oh, every time I reach out to someone and I'm scared to, And then I realized that like she turned off her sub because of all this crap going on in her life. You know, it makes you realize like it's not about you. If you show up and you just follow up with everyone and you just keep turning over those stones and really trying to connect and love people, the magic happens there because you're not making it about you anymore. You're making it about them and their goal and what they need, and you're loving them, right? I really think that a lot of what we do is love, serve, grow, right? You have to love them enough to serve them, and then as you serve them, you grow and you hit your goals. Because I've really come to realize that this business isn't about just us and just money and just our goals, right? It's about so much more than that. But I believe that setting a goal and turning over stones helps push us out of our comfort zone enough to reach out to people that we normally wouldn't reach out to, and to follow up with people that we're scared to follow up with. So I think that's part of turning over every stone, is just not making it about you, and you're just reaching out and loving people and seeing how you can serve them in any way. And sometimes it's a no. You turn it over and you're like, can I help serve you? And they're like, no. And you're like, okay, you know what I mean? But that's kind of how I see it, is you just dig in a little bit every day, break your goals down, and just turn over every stone for your goal. I hope that makes sense.
No, that was perfect. That was perfectly said. Because so today I made a goal to reach out to 10 white lines. These are either people that are under 100 PV or have turned off their subscriptions, and only 2 replied. So that's a 20% turning my stones, right? But I found out that these 2 people actually needed me to reach out, and I made it about me for the past 2 months because I was scared to reach out to them. Just like those people that really intimidate me, half of those people intimidate me. And then I had to remember, like, how often do we ask for help? It's really hard for me. And if you guys are like me, it's really hard for me to ask for help. And I think that goes along with people's health. They don't want to admit that they have celiac disease. And I've talked about this before. I don't like to have that label. It was really hard for me to overcome, to be the gluten-free eater at every single social event. People would choose different restaurants because of me. And I felt like I was being that outcast burden. And I think people have to remember that this isn't about me, and we are serving. And what Shenel said when she said, I get more joy from my Plexus business than my nursing career. You guys, I have said this before. I 100% agree with her. I went to school for 4 years to get my degree. I have a bachelor's in nursing. I'm watching my husband go through nurse practitioner school. We love to take care of patients. But nothing has brought me more greater joy other than my kids. My kids bring me so much joy. But then to hear someone change their life completely because of these supplements. They're able to show up for their family again. They're able to run again. They're able to be a mom, a wife, a grandma, a daughter again. Like, not that Western medicine isn't beautiful, but it's because we're missing a big piece of that Eastern medicine that completely changes the way I outlook. And today it was a lesson for me. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been intimidated to reach out for these 2 people, actually like 5 on this list. And one of them that really intimidates me wrote me back. And she's also a colleague of mine. She's a nurse, and I feel like she's a lot of intelligence, but she did not want to talk to me about her pooping and how she's not pooping like she should. And so all it took was me to reach out to her. Let's talk about it. Let's get in. And she's going to order this month, you guys. Let's get her on the products that she needs, because for so long I made it about me. Have you guys heard my service quote? Now that we're kind of talking about service is like peeing your pants. Everyone can see what you've done, but you can only feel the warmth. And I truly believe that with Plexus. Like, it is like peeing my pants. Like, everybody can see the physical changes, the emotional changes, the mental changes on that person. But I'm the only person that can just really feel that warmth of like Melissa and Carly showing up for their spouse and their kids. Like, I was part of their journey. Not that I'm taking credit for it, because they do a lot of heck of work outside of Plexus to get the help that they need. But I'm part of that. I'm part of their puzzle. And it seriously just brings me so much joy. And I hope you guys feel that same way when it comes to sharing Plexus. So to lead into, I do not like to use this word or this sentence. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to use, but we're not going to use it that way, is closing the deal. Because when you're turning stones, you're also closing the deal. Even if that's with a white line or a new prospect or a new enrollment. I don't like to use closing the deal. I like to use, let's get you started. Let's make today day 1, not someday. And so I want you guys to shift gears on, if you're talking to a new prospect, I don't want you to say, okay, let's get this done. You're a number to me. Like, I want you to intentionally take that time to get them started on their journey. Are any of you guys struggling with closing your deal? I don't like to use that term, but I'm going to define it as that. Do you have a hard time saying, let's get started, because you're intimidated? I get intimidated. Heck, today with my enrollment, I got intimidated. And when I was over at her house, she was like, okay, just text me the instructions. I was at her house for like an hour. She's like, just send me the instructions again and I'll get started on them. And I was like, do you have 10 minutes right now so I can help you? Let's get started right now. And I made it so natural. And after we got her and her husband enrolled, she turned to me and she's like, I would have not been able to do that without you. And so if I would have made it about me, she probably wouldn't have ordered yet. And I want her to have day one, not someday, to happen today. So I just like, does anyone have any input, or are you scared to get someone started, or do you have questions on how to get someone started when you've been talking to them for months or weeks or minutes? Whew, where'd you guys go? No one, Melissa?
I can just say that it's so much easier for me to just get them on the phone. I think I've only had maybe 2 people use my link to order, because a lot of times they won't order what they wanted because they'll get confused, or not that they're doing it wrong, but the site can be kind of confusing and navigating that. And I think it's good to help support them. Like last night when I was doing an enrollment, my friend was trying to text me and wanted me to just text her, like to walk her through it. And I said, if we can just talk on the phone for a couple of minutes, it will go a lot smoother and faster. And then you won't keep bugging your husband and keeping him awake. So she just called me and I just walked her through it. She wanted to be able to input all of her information, which was totally fine. So she went to it, and every step, like if she had a question, well, what do I put here? And what do I do here? And I just walked her right through it, and we got started. But I think a lot of times people will talk themselves out of it if you send them the link or the information, and they will keep getting busy. Something will keep coming up, or they'll change their mind and decide they don't want to do it, or they'll get to the site and it's too overwhelming. And so I feel like you're able to connect with them more. You're able to talk more about sharing and how it can help their friends. You're just able to have a better connection with them when you're able to talk with them for 10 or 15 minutes. Obviously, sometimes if it's someone you haven't talked to in a while, it ends up being an hour or more. But normally when you're getting someone enrolled, it can just take that 10 or 15 minutes to get them enrolled and make sure they're getting the products that they want and they can get started right away. So I like being able to just
love that.
walk them through them.
I agree.
Well, and
with
I
that.
do feel like, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, I was going to say, I agree with that. And I love that what Melissa says is that she just offers to get on the phone, because that's her way of serving them to make it easier for them. Right. And I really think that when we lead, like people need, think of us as like a guide. We need to guide them through this entire process. Right. And I think about like on Facebook, I get ads popping up all the time, right? It's like my phone hears me. I was talking today about buying a new rug, and then I had like 3 ads pop up for rugs. But I recently was looking for an iPhone case, and I found, and I had an ad pop up for like, I think it's called like Burga or something like that. And you guys, I can't tell you how many times I clicked on their site and I went in and I scrolled around and I looked through their iPhone cases and I looked through their iPhone cases and, you know, all these different things, or the AirPods or AirPod cases. And then I didn't order. And then like an hour later, when I would pop on social media, that ad would pop up again, right? And I would click on it, and then I was like indecisive, and I was not sure what color I wanted, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to buy 4 of them or 6 of them. Why do I need 4 or 6 cases? Because they look really cool and I want them and I can't decide. But I think that I did that like legit 15 times before I ordered. I went and I scrolled and I looked around like 15 times before I ordered. And we have to think about how most people are like that. They're indecisive. They need you to guide them through it because they can't decide. And when I couldn't decide, I was asking my 9-year-old what color of cases she liked. And I was asking my 12-year-old which one he liked. And then I waited for my husband to get home to validate my decision. And I was like, will you help me decide? Because I can't decide. And he was like, pick a darn case, Nicole. I don't care what color you pick. But I think as human nature, we like want that validation. You are their validation and they need you to guide them through the process. Because otherwise they're going to click in and then they're going to get confused and then they're going to get sidetracked and then they're going to go out. And then we make it about us. Oh my gosh, I sent them the link like a week ago and they didn't enroll. But you guys, if you just get on the phone and you guide them through, like Jess and Melissa are saying, and they're like not making it about them, they're making it about guiding them and helping them and serving them and loving them because they want them to genuinely have a good experience. That is part of being a leader. You need to be their guide.
Yes, I love that. I love what you and Melissa both said. And I feel like when you do get someone on the phone, they feel your emotion. I feel like through text, even if it's not Plexus related, like how many times have you guys texted your spouse or a friend or someone, not even like you send them the wrong message? There's just not emotion like there is over the phone. And so I've gotten into the habit that I do ask everybody if I can talk to them on the phone. But there is about 10% that just don't want to talk on the phone. They don't. Like, you've got to remember, they're not in their best state. They don't feel good. They feel like they have a label. They're busy. They have kids. They work. And so I do have instructions, and I'm reading Lauren's messages as well. I have instructions of how to enroll someone, and I have sent it probably 10 times. And I have not had problems with any of it, that they're able to use them. I know Melissa has them. They're so step by step. They're like, it's like dummies for Plexus. And I'm not calling anyone a dummy. You know, like the book, like dummy or computer, dummies for computers or computers for dummies or something. It's like that same concept. Like it's just step by step. And I never want anyone to like order the wrong products or to do their order wrong. And I want them to feel confident on that website. I think the more you use the website, the more comfortable you'll get. It's way easy for me now, but for someone that's never been on there, it's intimidating. And there's so many welcome packs and there's so many options. And so I have those step by step, and I'll drop it in our team thread. Just make sure you change the number. It's my number. So if you're going to use these, make sure you put your number as the ID or your phone number so that you get that enrollment. But I'll put that in the team chat. I was also going to say, I know we're almost down to ending our call, but have you guys ever been on the phone with someone and you're about to end the call and then they hang up and like they're in the middle of hanging up and you're like, wait, I have one more question. Like I feel that way with closing and starting someone up on the products. If I don't do it right then and there, if I'm not like, hey, do you have 5 minutes? Let's do it right now. I feel like that's their turn to click the phone. And you're like, wait, like, oh, do you have 5 minutes? Or like if someone's in the car and you're talking and you're having a good conversation and you're engaged, and say you ask them, let's do this, and then they get out of the car and they shut the door, that's the ball is in their court. So I think it's really important to just be confident and to say, hey, do you have 5 minutes? Let's get you going right now. What questions do you have for me before I call you? And then when you call them, that's when they can just feel your emotion and connection and love for that person. I genuinely love everybody that I've started Plexus on, and I didn't even know half of them. I didn't know Melissa from Timbuktu, you guys. I knew Carly. She was in my ward. She was that girl that kept on going to the same places I was going to. But like, you find love for these people. I think that's why we do what we do. I do not doubt, without a doubt, that Plexus landed in my lap for a reason. You guys, Plexus was supposed to be my path and my purpose on this earthly life. And I don't say that, I'm a God girl, you guys all know that, but I didn't know Melissa from Timbuktu. And if she hadn't been brave and asked my husband for a gluten-free recipe that took me over a year to get to her, I fell in love with Melissa the day I met her. Nicole and me and Melissa legit sat in my family room floor with 4 kids, I think at the time, and we were all bawling our eyes out. And my husband walked in and he was like, should I walk back out? What's going on? But I think as women, we just relate to each other. We love each other. We can, we get each other. And I think that's why we do what we do. We serve. We are nurturers. We're lovers. And I love all of you. Rachel, I love you. Like, and I only met you. Cassie, I don't know you that well. And I feel love for you. Like, it brings me so much joy. And you guys have heard me say this too. Joy is very different than happiness. Joy is when you can be happy here for yourself and you can be happy outward. Happiness is where you're just happy for people. But joy is when you can feel it inward and outward. And I feel that way with Plexus. So turning those stones and making that, starting someone up on the products, it brings me absolute joy. So that's kind of like what I wanted to talk about today, because I feel like we get in this rut of like, oh my gosh, I haven't gotten a level 1 in months or in weeks. What's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? And you have to remember, that's not where we come from. We come from love and joy and helping someone change their lives, not just with their health, but with finances. Because I truly do believe that financial illness is a lot of our health concerns. Spending $10,000. Yes, who's talking? Is it Melissa?
No, it's me.
Cool. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, now I can't remember. Oh my gosh, because I got distracted.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I can't remember now. Oh my gosh, totally just blinked.
No, it's okay. Sorry, that was probably my fault. Melissa, did you want to say something? I saw your screen light up.
It's me. I did want to say something about Lauren's comment about the social security number. So I actually had the person that I signed up last night ask if we really needed to use a social security number. And I actually just made it about her. And I said, well, they use it for tax purposes and you get 10% back on anything that you're ordering. So if you happen to make more than $600 on money back from your orders, then they'll use it. But other than that, it's just totally safe in the system. And she was like, oh, sweet. Okay. And she put in her social. So I think, like we've talked about before, it's making it about them and not worrying about what they're going to think. I mean, giving them the information and then letting them decide. But I just made it about her and said, you make money back on each order that you make. And if you make more than $600 in a year, then they'll send you tax information and that's what they'll use it for. She was like, oh, because she was really hesitant at first to put it in. And I just explained that and it was fine. So I think the more confident we are about it and just giving them the information and being confident will help them to not be worried about it. But if you're worried about it, then they're going to be worried about it.
And on a side note with that, you guys, they're getting rid of that within the month. It should be like mid-April. I don't know if you guys knew that, but they are getting rid of requiring a social security number. I don't know how that will take toll if someone decides to share and do the business because they legally have to send you a W-2. So I think maybe if you make over 600, they'll ask for it. I don't know the details yet, but I heard it's going to be around tax deadline, which is usually around April 15th. So I would think within the next month, we'll see that change. And I'm really excited about it because Lauren, believe me, you're not the only person that has been intimidated by it. But if you just act confident and educate, that's where knowledge is so powerful, is letting them know with confidence of why they're giving that information. I mean, I swipe my Target credit card every time I go to Target, which is probably too much, but they had a breach in security probably 2 years ago, and over 750, I think it was like 1,000 people had their credit cards breached. And Plexus is backed by Morgan Stanley and has an A+ with the BBB. So you have to build that confidence and just show it with confidence and be like, they are such a trustworthy company. They have a great customer service. I always just talk value in why they're giving it. And I love what Melissa shared too. So
and if
that's
you're,
kind of like
if
what
you're going into a conversation nervous about it, like if you feel nervous about it, they will feel that and they won't know what they're feeling. They won't know that you're just like scared to ask. They might be like, is she hiding something? Like, I'm getting this really weird vibe from her. Maybe this isn't trustworthy. And I really think that that is a huge part of it, is going into it with confidence and just reassuring them that this is safe. You have to think of yourself, like, once again, as a guide. You are guiding them through it. And if you're a guide, like, think about if you were like on a safari trip and your guide was unsure. Oh, I don't really know if this way, like if there's sinking sand or like we might get hurt. I'm not really sure. you are not going to be super inclined to follow them. You're going to be like, he's not very confident. I'm not sure I want to go where he's going. I might sink, right? You got to think of yourself as a guide. You need to be confident. Even if sometimes you're literally like, I don't know what to do, then you go and you find the answer, right? Or you ask for help. But think of yourself as a guide. And I just wanted to add that confidence people feel. So if you're not getting enrollments and if you're feeling stuck, a lot of that probably comes from the vibe that you're putting out there. So you need to raise your vibe and your energy because people will be attracted to you. When you are vibing high, like I think about Christy Jex, everybody loves her. Everybody is attracted to her because she vibes very high energy and it's attractive. People will be attracted to you if you have high energy. But if you're sitting over there unsure or scared or nervous, questioning yourself, doubting yourself, playing the victim role, or you know what I mean, feeling down about your life, nobody wants to follow that. And they can feel it, whether you think they can or not. So I think a lot of doing this and being a strong leader is having confidence in what you're leading and what you're offering. So
I'm talking to myself. You froze for a minute. So I'm like, is your kid warming up some more food? Is your microwave on? Okay, guys, that is everything. Does anyone want to add anything or have any questions? I'm so glad that you all spent time with us tonight. And I'm really excited to the upcoming months. I want to review the Immune Plus next Thursday. So kind of put that on your radar. I am learning more about it and I would love to help educate you guys about it so you know what you're educating your people with that one. But if you guys have any questions, now is the time. If not, I will see you all in our team thread. And on Monday night, if you live locally. Okay, love you all. Sleep good, you guys.
good night.